fever, those chills that you feel in your bones, the aches and fatigue that you feel in your muscles. All of these changes are occurring simply because your body temperature has elevated just a few degrees. Those few degrees might seem insignificant, but because it's an unnatural state for your body to be in, your body has these extreme reactions. Now imagine that on a much larger scale. The ocean. Across the globe, average surface temperatures have elevated a few degrees, and while it may not seem like much, just like our bodies, the ocean is having an extreme reaction to the unnatural heat levels within its confines. When our body temperature increases to a certain level, our organs begin shutting down, and the same can be said of the life forms within the ocean, more specifically, coral reefs. Increasing temperatures stresses the coral out, and in an attempt to decompress, they expel algae living in their tissue. However, that algae is needed to obtain food and expel waste, and removing them causes the coral to turn white in a process known as coral bleaching. In the human body, a fever can go down and those organs will be fine. But if the fever stays the same or increases, your body and organs begin shutting down because the pressure is too much. Like the human body, the coral can recover if the temperature goes down. But prolonged exposure to the high temperatures further stresses the coral out and causes it to shut down and eventually die. Now you might be wondering, what does coral losing its color have to do with me? What's its relevance? Well, as Leonardo da Vinci says, everything connects to everything else. Now, as you can see, there is a ripple effect that leads to a continuous cycle when coral bleaching occurs. First, average surface temperatures are already high, which leads to coral reefs being uncomfortable with that increased temperature. And with that increased temperature, they expel the algae that they need in order to survive. So when they remove those algae, they either lose their color or they die. Now, there are organisms that feed or live off of the coral reefs. So when the coral dies, those microorganisms die as well. There are organisms that then eat those microorganisms and they no longer have a food source and they will also die. Now, some of those microorganisms are essential for the removal of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. So with those organisms no longer playing their role, there is more of those gases in the atmosphere. And with more of them up there, there's more heat being trapped. And with more heat being trapped from the sun, there is now a higher increase in temperature. And we are right back to where we started on the circular flow. Now, with all of these organisms dying, our food source is being depleted. There is an estimated 7 billion people on planet Earth, 795 million of which cannot function on a day-to-day basis because of lack of food. We need all of the food that we can get as it is. The Great Barrier Reef, one of the greatest wonders in the world that has existed for over 25 million years, is dying in our generation. We need to make a change.